Hello, beautiful people. It's your girl Gine, and it's Gine's signatures once again. Thank you all to my subscribers. So, this is what we'll be making today. We'll be making a double flared gown. So, the lower part is double, yeah, like a flare that is two, and then the upper part is going to be a bustier with a yoke, and of course we have the sleeves that are nets and all. So if this is what you're interested in, please kindly wait and watch till the end. Thank you all for your amazing support. I really appreciate it. And then at the middle part I added this button that I used, cover button, that's what they call it. So I made that and then I put it like so. That is how it looks like in the style as you saw on the thumbnail. So if this is what you're interested in, let's get over to the cutting table so that we'll see how this is done, and it's of course with a turtleneck. So I have everything that I'll be making use of here. I have my lining, I have yeah, the wadding that I'll be using to pad it. I have a soft wadding, they have the hard one, and then of course I have the net. I made use of 1 yard of net, and then I have my fabric, which is 6 yards in total. So if this is what you're interested in, let's go ahead to the cotton. So in order to make this video not to be too lengthy so that I can show the sewing parts and all, I decided to do some things offline or off camera. As you can see, the last video I posted, this was how I did it too, so that it will be fast. We'll be able to do everything ASAP. So I already drafted out all the basic bodies. I've inputted my bust line, under bust, chest line, and of course my waistline. And then I've done the armhole and of course the neck width. So for the neck width, I used 2.5 by 2.5. Like the last video, I used 3 inches by 2, but for this I'm making use of 2.5 by 2.5. So that is basically all that I have on my paper right there. So the next thing I'm inputting now is my nipple to nipple or bust span measurement, which I divided by 2, and then I'm connecting that from my chest line all the way to the waistline. And so the next thing I'll be doing now is to take my underbust darts. So I'll be marking 1 inch on both sides of the underbust. And then of course I'll mark the same thing on the waistline, 1 inch. And then I will connecting that from the underbust to the waistline on both sides as you see me do. And so on the bust line, I'll be coming down by 1 inch in order to avoid any sharp edges. So I'll be coming down by 1 inch, and then I'll be carving from the underbust to the bust line that I marked 1 inch to give us our curve, as you can see me do. So if you watch the previous tutorial, it's basically almost the same thing. The only difference there is the neckline, the way I marked out the neckline. And so the next thing I'll be doing now, I'll be dividing that my shoulder measurement into 2, and then I'll get the midpoint, and then I'll connect that to the nipple to nipple measurement that I have on my chest line, so that we'll be able to take our upper tightening or upper darts. So right there on the chest line, I'll be taking 1 inch on both sides as well. So that would ensure that the chest area is tight. So I'll be connecting that to meet the the bust line that I came down by 1 inch. So I'll connect like so as well. It's very easy. So now we have our upper bust tightening. So the next thing I will be doing right about now is just to get our neckline. And in order to get my neckline, I don't want it to be too low. So I'll just come down by ½ inch. Just going to be marking ½ inch there. But if you want yours to come down very well, you can go as far as 1 inch or 1.5 inches. But I'm making use of ½ inch And so I just used that as a guideline. I go into up by half an inch, and then I'm curving it to enter the armhole because I don't want my bust to show. That is not mine, my client's. That was what she requested. So that automatically is my yoke. That is what I'll be cutting out for my yoke. And so now I'll just be taking the basic measurements that is required, and you see, in less than 6 minutes we are through with our bodies, that is the front bodies. So I'm marking my bust measurement divided by 4. Whatever you have there, you mark. So I marked 9 inches, and then I'll be replacing the 2 inches that I used for that. That is 1 inch on both sides. That gave me 2, and then of course I'll be adding my sewing allowance, which is 1.5 inches. You can add 2 or 3 inches based on what you want. And then I'm heading straight to the waistline. I'll be ignoring that of the underbust measurement for now. So later in due course, if I want to shape the clothes, I might use that. So I've marked my waist measurement and I'm replacing the dart, and then of course I'm going to be adding 2 inches or 1.5 inches sewing allowance. And then I'll be connecting from my bust to my waist. And so I'll be cutting that out. We're basically through with the front piece. So please, if you have watched up to this level, kindly hit on that subscribe button, like, share, and please kindly click on your notification icon so that you get notified every time or anytime I upload a new video. Thank you all. And so I'll be cutting out the yoke first. And then the neckline. And then the shoulder slope. So our yoke is ready. And then I'll be cutting out the bustier parts. You can see that I was just trying to cut it. I don't want it to be scattered, so you can see me coming up from the upper parts just to make it easier so that it won't scatter. So I'll be cutting it out now. So yes, I've already cut it out. So we have our front piece ready. So that is it, the middle piece, the sides, and then of course the yoke. So I'll be heading over to cut the back, but I'll be making that fast because I don't want to waste time. So it's just the way of cutting. I'll show you how it's done actually, but it will be in a fast mode. Yes. So I've brought out the wrapper. So I'll be showing you. See. So I'll be folding my fabric like so, and then I'm going to be getting the length of my back piece because I didn't draft this on the paper, and then I marked out my zip allowance. I got my shoulder divided by 2. I carved out my armhole. The back neckline is 2.5 by 1 inch. You know, it's going to be a turtleneck. Marked out my darts, placed my measurements, and then I cut it out as you can see me doing. So That is for the back. So I just want to cut out the front pieces as well, just to show you how it's done. So I've cut out the sides. So this is the middle part, so you can see. And all this is exactly how you're going to cut out your lining. And then of course I went over to cutting up the sleeves. So you can see me cutting out the sleeves. It's just a basic sleeve, a long sleeve. So I'm cutting that out, and that is out as well. So now I'm cutting the yokes. So I'll be cutting the front first. So I placed that and just ensure that you add half inch all the way around. So now we're going over to cutting of the lower parts, which is the flared parts. So please take note that this cutting of the flared part, we have different methods in which we can achieve this, but this is the method I used. So if you feel this is what is okay for you, please kindly go ahead and use that. So I started by writing the full length of the total gown, which is 42, and my half length is 18 inches. So I subtracted 42 from 18, and that gave me 24 inches. So what I'm supposed to be cutting right for the lower part should be 24 inches, because by the time I add half length to it, it will make up for that 42 inches. And so that is the length. So for the waist, my waist is 36 inches. That is for my client. The total waist circumference is 36 inches. And we have a general or a normal standard measurement we use in cotton circle, and that is 6.28. That is for a full circle. But if it's going to be for a half circle, you use 3.14. So now I'm going to be dividing my waist circumference by 6.28, and when I divided that, it gave me 5.7. I'll be approximating that 5.7 to 6 inches. And then for the length of the gown, I'll be adding 2 inches for sewing allowance, which will give me 26. So by the time I add 26 plus 6, that should give me 32 inches in total. So that is how to determine the amount of fabric you need to fold. That is for the first part of the flare. So what I will be folding in order to minimize my fabric is 32 inches. I believe you understand the little mathematics I did there. So that is how to determine what you have to fold. So if you have a limited fabric, please, you may not cut in a bias form. All you need to simply do is you just fold your fabric into 4. You fold and then you fold like you want to cut a peplum. But if you have enough fabric that you want to utilize so that the clothes will come out like, I don't know, more fuller, Abby, yeah, you can just go for this bias format. But if you don't have enough fabric, please just go for the normal way to cut a peplum. It will still come out the same way. So this is me folding my fabric in a bias form. And so I'll be getting the waistline, which is 6 inches from our calculation. Please bear in mind that this is folded in a bias form and is also into 4. But I want to cut it in a flare format. So from that, my waist inches right now, I'm going to be marking 26 inches because 24 is the actual length, but I'm adding 2 inches for sewing allowance. So I'll be marking 26 inches all the way around. And please, before we continue, if you feel like, okay, this flare, you want to put some pleats to it, please kindly increase the circumference of your waist before dividing by 6.28. I totally forgot here that I needed to pleat some parts, and I used exactly that. But when I wanted to join it, I added extra clothes. I joined it by one side because I needed some parts to be pleated. I didn't remember that it was in the style like that, so I added some fabric to this. That is by the side, not for the length. So please take note of that. So anytime you want to mix this kind of clothes, please ensure that you check the style very well so that you won't run into any problem. So I'll be cutting this out. This will be the first layer, that is the longest part. So in order for you to determine the second level, you can remove 10 inches from 24 and then you can cut out 14 or 15 inches, because from the thumbnail you can see that the distance between the two is quite much, so that the first and the second will be seen. If not, if they are too near, you won't really see the difference between the two. So this is what I have, and bear in mind, like I said, I added some inches later to the width of the circumference, not the length. I didn't touch the length. So I'm going to be cutting the second layer off camera because I don't want to waste too much time. Yeah, so I'd already gone out to cut out. You can see I folded exactly the same way, and then I cut out this, showing or indicating that this was shorter than the first one. So the waistline should always be the same. Even if you are going to cut 3 layers, it should still, the waist circumference must be the same. It's only the length that can change. So yeah, we're basically through with cutting. So I'm going to be showing you how all the things I've cut out before I'll start joining the pieces all together. So I've gone ahead to cut out lining for every piece that I cut out earlier. As you can see, if you want to iron interfacing to your lining to give it some stability, please kindly go ahead. But I did not do that because the lining was okay. It's not of low quality. It's still something that was okay for me to use. But if you feel like the lining you're using is not of a good quality, you can go ahead and iron airstay to it to give it stability. So that is me showing you all the parts that I've cut out with their lining. So right about now, I'll be going ahead to join, okay, to show you how to cut wording. That will be the next thing. So I'll be cutting the wording for the front piece. You know, I've not shown this in my videos before, so I just ensured that this time I will try as much as possible to show that. So that was why I fast forward that place so that it won't take too much time, so that I'll be able to show this part that I'm showing right about now. So this is the middle part, and I'll be placing it like so. You see this wording, we have a two sides to it. There's a shiny face place, and then the other side is like a rough place. So it's this shiny place that you place on the fabric, because you are going to be ironing that place to the fabric. That is what will glue it to the fabric. So ensure that the shiny part is facing your fabric. So now, when you are cutting the middle piece of this wording, ensure that you leave at least 1 inch before the neckline, or 2 inches preferably, so that the foamy part will not enter the neckline. So this is me. I've cut out the middle wording, so I'll be taking that to my sewing ironing board, and then I'll iron that later. But I want to cut the sides before doing that. So I'll fold this into two because I need it for both sides. I don't want to be cutting one here and one there. So I'll just place it like that, and then, so what I did was that I folded the shiny part facing each other. The shiny part is facing each other. So by the time I cut it out, I'll have one for this side and one for the other side. I believe you understand me. So that is what I'm doing right there. I'm using a soft wording. I'm not using a hard wording because we have soft and then we add a hard one. But I'm making use of a soft wording. That's how you see that the scissors is just going freely. But if it were to be a hard wording, so I'm going to be using one for each side. So one is for the other side, and then the other is for the other side. So I'm going to be ironing it. That was what I was trying to explain right there. And then after ironing it, I'm just going to be joining them 1/2 inch for each side, and then I had to reduce that because it was too high, you can see, so that it will sit perfectly. Yeah, so I'll be taking it to the sewing machine now, and I'll be right back to show you that I've joined it and I've turned it with my lining. And of course I've added the yoke to it. So yes, this is it. I've gone ahead to do that. I've turned it with the lining. I've added the yoke. All you need to do is just to place the yoke on top of the clothes and then put your lining and then run it, and then you top stitch after joining the bustier area, of course. So you can see the bustier area looking beautiful. I've ironed it. I've equally done the back pieces. I've turned them with lining. I've added the yoke, so you can see it. It's all looking beautiful. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to join it on the shoulders. I'll join the shoulders front to front, place it on the fabric, the front piece on the back piece, and then you join the shoulders by half an inch in each. And then in order to close this, because we have to close this upper part before we join the lower part, all you need to do is to run a temporary zip stitch like that, just temporary, not permanent, so that you remove your zip allowance, and then you're going to place it on top of this front piece and then close your bust area and then your waist measurement, so that by the time you want to fix the lower part, it will be easy for you. Just lose the temporary stitches you made like I did here. So you can see what I meant by that. After closing the sides, I lose the temporary stitches, and then I added this my flare part to the upper bodice. It's very easy. Let me turn it around so that you see what I mean. So you can see this lower part, I've added it to the upper part. So if you want a lining for this, please go ahead. But my client said she does not want a lining because it will be too thick, and she wants air to be blowing. So if you want a lining for yours, you can just cut out exactly the same way the fabric is, and then you turn it with a lining. But I ended up using a bias to turn the length of the flare. So now basically what I'm going to be doing now is to attach my zipper. I had a zipper, but I couldn't find where I kept the zipper, so that was why I later did everything off camera, and then I'm going to be showing you the end result. So please kindly hit the like button, subscribe, and kindly share. But if you want me to show you how to fix a zipper, I will be happy to do that. Yeah. So make sure that all the flares are kissing each other. They are properly aligned when sewing. The first one should align with the first one, and then the lower one should align with the lower one. Not that one will be up and one will be down. So this is the end result of the cloth, and it looks so beautiful. So thank you all, and God bless you. Bye.